Imagine buying a house for just $1. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, that's exactly what I did. But here's the catch. This wasn't just any house. This was a place where time stood still, where the walls whispered secrets and the floors creaked with the weight of the past. A house so haunted by its history, even the bravest contractors refused to step inside. I ignored the warnings. I signed the papers. And what I discovered inside changed everything I thought I knew about cheap deals. The moment I turned the key, the air turned thick, like walking into a graveyard at midnight. The smell of damp wood and something older, something unnatural. My flashlight flickered as I stepped over broken toys, yellowed newspapers from 1982, and a single child's shoe perfectly placed in the center of the room, as if someone had just vanished. Then came the sounds, scratching behind the walls, a faint humming tune, no radio, no neighbors, just an empty house singing to itself. Local legends called it the Silence House, because those who entered, they stopped talking about what they saw, about what they heard, and after that first night I understood why. This isn't just a story about a cheap home. This is a story about the lies towns bury, the ghosts money can't buy out, and the one question I couldn't escape. What really happened to the family who lived here before me? Stick around, because tonight, we're uncovering the truth. They say you never really know a house until you spend the night. Well, let me tell you, by midnight I knew this place hated me. I set up my camera gear in what used to be the living room, back when this was a home instead of a time capsule of nightmares. The second the sun dipped below the windows, the temperature dropped 20 degrees. Not normal cold, the kind that sticks to your skin like wet plastic. My breath came out in white puffs as I checked the thermal camera, and that's when I saw it. A single warm spot on the wall near the staircase, shaped exactly like a small handprint. I told myself it was old pipes. Then the whispering started. Not words, just sighs, like someone exhausted from waiting. I followed the sound to the master bedroom, where the closet door stood slightly open. Inside, hanging crooked on a rusted nail, was a wedding dress. The fabric crumbled at my touch, releasing a cloud of dust that smelled like roses and something metallic. Blood. Number that was just my imagination running wild. Until I noticed the dark stains on the sleeves. At 3:17 a.m., the power went out. My generator should have kicked on immediately. It didn't. In the perfect blackness, something dragged across the hardwood downstairs. Slow, purposeful. Then, silence. That was the worst part. Because in that silence I realized I wasn't just documenting this house anymore. It was documenting me. The morning light made everything seem normal again. Almost. That's when I found it, a cardboard box labeled Memories, shoved behind the broken water heater. Inside was a VHS tape with handwritten letters that made my hands shake. Last day, do not watch alone. I nearly didn't press play, but that's why you're here, right? To see what I saw. The footage showed a family, mom, dad, two little girls, blowing out birthday candles. Normal stuff. Until minute 4:37. The camera tilts suddenly, showing the hallway behind them. There's a shadow where no shadow should be. Tall, thin, not moving, just watching. The dad notices. You see his smile die. He says something to his wife, then walks toward it. The camera falls to the carpet, still recording. His slippers appear in frame, stepping toward nothing. Then he screams. Not fear, Recognition, like he's seen an old friend. The tape cuts to static for exactly 33 seconds. When the picture returns, the cake's still there. The presents, the decorations. But the family? Gone. Only the youngest girl's hair ribbon remains on the empty chair. I rewound 5 times before noticing the detail that made me vomit. In the final frame, reflected in the birthday girl's wide eyes, something was standing behind me as I watched the tape in that basement. The police report said the family moved away suddenly. No forwarding address. The neighbors got postcards for years afterward, all postmarked from towns that didn't exist. Tomorrow, we dig up the backyard. Because after finding that tape, I need to know what really happened here. And if whatever took that family is still hungry. The ground was softer than it should have been. Like the earth itself was rotting. My shovel hit wood just 3 feet down, not a coffin, but a child's toy chest. The lock was broken, inside. Not toys, bones. Small ones. Finger bones, to be exact. Dozens, arranged in careful rows like some sick collection, and at the center a Polaroid photo. The family from the tape standing right where I was digging. Their faces were blurred, but I could read the date scrawled in red on the bottom. The same day they disappeared. Then the whispers started again, not from the house this time, from the trees. A child's voice clear as day. "You weren't supposed to find us." I ran, made it halfway to my car before the back door slammed shut behind me. No wind, no one there. Just that awful metallic rose smell from the wedding dress, now soaking the air. The police took the bones, but get this, their report lists them as animal remains. I checked the photos. Those were human. Someone's still covering this up. Tonight I'm going back with a thermal camera and a priest. Because whatever's in that house, it's not a ghost. Ghosts don't leave footprints in fresh dirt. Ghosts don't turn faucets on at 3:17 a.m. every night. And they sure as hell don't smile at you from the basement shadows, with your own face. Father Marcos crossed the threshold and immediately made the sign of the cross. His flashlight beam shook as it swept across the basement walls. "You were right to call me," he said, "but not for the reasons you think." He pointed to the corner where I'd found the tape. The concrete was bleeding. Not liquid, thick, dark streaks oozing upward against gravity, forming symbols I didn't recognize. "This isn't a haunting," Father Marcos whispered. "It's a doorway, and you've been knocking." That's when the thermal camera caught it. Heat signatures pulsing beneath the floorboards in perfect rhythm, like something breathing. The priest's face went pale. "They told you the family disappeared in 1982. The truth. They never left. They're still here. Just not the way they were. We found the proof in the attic. 7 suitcases. Packed for a vacation that never happened. Clothes still folded, toothbrushes wrapped in tissue, and a plane ticket to Florida dated the day after the birthday party. Whatever took them, it happened fast, too fast to run." Father Marcos gave me 2 warnings before he left. First, stop digging at 3:17 a.m. That's when the veil is thinnest. Second, burn the wedding dress. I tried, the flames turned blue and died, and that's when I heard the first laugh, giggling, coming from every room at once. The camera caught it all. The thermal images show them clearly now. 4 figures, standing in a circle around my bed each night, waiting. The youngest one points at me and mouths the same words every time. "Almost ready." The scratching started in the west bedroom last Tuesday. Not random, a pattern. 3 long, 2 short. Over and over, I pressed my ear to the plaster and heard breathing. shallow, terrified. Then the voice came, "Help me out." A child's whisper, identical to the one from the backyard. But this time, clear as my own reflection. I grabbed a hammer and made my first hole in the wall. The insulation had teeth. Not metaphorically, tiny milk teeth woven into the fiberglass like some grotesque wind chime. And behind them, a message carved into the studs: "She walks where we can't see." That's when the thermal camera died. All 3 batteries drained instantly. The only light came from my phone, casting shadows that moved wrong. One detached itself from the wall and took shape. A girl, maybe 8 years old. Her Sunday dress was pristine, but her feet, they never touched the floor. She held out a rotting teddy bear. "You'll need this," she said, "for when the singing starts." Then she pointed to the closet where I'd found the wedding dress. Except now the door was open and something was inside. Not the dress, not a ghost, but the woman who should have worn it. Her face stretched into something that wasn't a smile. Her fingers tapped that same rhythm on the doorframe. 3 long, 2 short. The moment I blinked, they were gone. Only 2 things remained: the teddy bear in my hands and a new message carved into the floorboards, this time in perfect cursive: "Thank you for letting us in." The teddy bear weighed more than it should have, like it was filled with wet sand. I almost didn't cut it open, but then it twitched in my hands. The stitches came apart too easily. Inside wasn't stuffing, it was hair. Long, dark strands knotted around a human finger bone, and something else, a cassette tape labeled "For the New Owner." My recorder barely picked up the audio at first, just static. Then a voice I recognized, my own. But I'd never spoken these words. "If you're hearing this, you've met Emily. She's the reason the walls bleed. She's been waiting for someone to play with. The last family didn't understand the rules. You will." A child's giggle cut through the recording, the same one from the walls. Then, my voice again, colder this time. "Rule 1, don't sleep past 3:17 a.m. Rule 2, never answer the singing. Rule 3, if the doors change places, close your eyes and count to 37. They hate being ignored." The tape ended with 7 seconds of screaming. Not mine, not Emily's. Something older. I dropped the recorder. That's when I noticed the changes. The front door was gone, just solid wall where it used to be. And the basement door, now right where my bedroom should be, was slightly open. A smell poured out. Rotting roses, metallic, familiar. From the darkness below, something scraped against the steps, slowly, deliberately, coming up. Emily's whisper filled my ear, her breath ice cold. "You should have burned the dress when you had the chance." The basement walls bled heavier now. The symbols formed words: "Feed the house." That's when I found the album, hidden beneath the 3rd step, wrapped in what felt like human skin. Inside were photographs from 1923. Each one showed the same ritual. Men in black coats standing where my living room is now. A woman in that damned wedding gown. No, not a gown, I realized. A shroud. She was kneeling over something small, something wrapped in white cloth. A child. The last photo was just her face, eyes scratched out, with the caption, "She walks where we can't see." The house groaned like a living thing. Plaster rained from the ceiling as the temperature dropped. My breath came in ragged gasps as I flipped to the final page. A contract, signed in brown ink, that smelled like copper. The names changed every decade, until the last entry. My signature, in handwriting I didn't recognize. "You understand now," Emily whispered from the corner. She wasn't a ghost, she was the first sacrifice. The house always gets a new keeper. The walls started singing, not the childish humming from before, a hymn, the same one from the 1923 photos. My hands moved on their own, turning pages to a diagram I'd somehow missed. A floor plan. With one addition, a secret room behind the master bedroom. The scratching started again. 3 long, 2 short. But now it came from inside my chest. I knew what I had to do. The house was hungry. And I finally understood why the last family packed suitcases they never used. They weren't trying to escape. They were preparing the next offering. The master bedroom wall collapsed like wet paper when I touched it. No tools needed. The house wanted me to see what was inside. Cold air rushed out, carrying the scent of birthday cake and funeral flowers. My flashlight died immediately. Only the dim red glow from the exit sign illuminated the space. There was no exit. Just walls covered in children's drawings, every one depicting the same scene. A family standing around a cake, a shadow behind them, and a new figure added recently, with my face. The center of the room held a single chair. On it sat a porcelain doll wearing the wedding shroud, its head turned with a crack. Not toward me, toward the corner where the thermal camera suddenly detected movement. 3 figures materialized, the missing family, their mouths stitched shut with what looked like human hair. They pointed at the far wall where fresh blood dripped downward before reversing course to form letters. Your turn. The doll's arm raised, offering a needle threaded with dark string. The message was clear. Either I take it and become the new keeper, or join the family permanently. Then the singing began. Not from the house this time, from my own throat. Words I didn't know in a language I'd never heard poured out. The walls shook. Photographs rained from the ceiling, future victims with blurred faces waiting to be filled in. Emily appeared beside me, her hand shockingly solid as she pressed the needle into my palm. "Don't worry," she whispered. "It only hurts until the stitch is set." Outside, a car door slammed. Someone new was coming up the walkway, the house's next potential owner, and the ritual demanded fresh blood. The needle burned in my hand. Emily's smile widened, too wide, splitting her face like old paper. The singing in my throat grew louder. Words became commands. My body moved toward the new owner at the door without my permission. Then I remembered the doll. It was the key. Not the house, not the ritual. The porcelain face watching everything. I drove the needle straight into its left eye. The scream wasn't human. Glass shattered, walls cracked. The family's stitches burst open, releasing whispers that swirled into smoke. Emily shrieked, not in anger but relief. "Thank you," she mouthed as she faded. The house spit me out onto the front lawn just as the roof collapsed inward. No fire, just emptiness consuming itself. The new owner ran, smart man. I should have left then. But something glinted in the rubble. The doll's intact head, and inside its broken skull, a tiny roll of film. Developed that night, it showed one image. Me, age 8, blowing out birthday candles in that living room. A shadow behind me. Familiar. Now the stitches on my palm pulse whenever I pass a cemetery. The singing stopped, until last night. My radio turned itself on at 3:17 a.m. Static. Then a child's voice. "You missed a spot." The doll's head sits on my dresser. Sometimes in the mirror, its eyes follow me. And this morning, fresh blood on the needle. The house is gone. But the ritual, that's mine to continue, or end. This isn't just my story anymore, it's yours too. Tell me in the comments, Would you spend one night in this house for $1 million? What's the creepiest detail that stuck with you? And if you think this house should be burned to the ground, smash that like button. Until next time, sleep with the lights on.